the month of September, and the program is Nigeria Now, where we look at things and happenings in the country, bring it to the table, discuss it, and then as well, you drop your own comment and your views regarding some of these events that are happening and what you feel is a way forward, picking it up from here. I am Sada Laishtasho. I'll be in this program alongside Rachel Tanzi. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon, sir.
All right. Without much waste of time, we'd love to go straight into the discussion of today, and we would love to start with the protests. Tomorrow being the 1st of October, I mean, it's supposed to be a day of rejoicing and celebration as Nigeria will be 64 years, looking at down the line of after so many years of independence. But it seems that independence is going to be celebrated with mixed reaction as we have seen that protesters have insist that they must hold a protest tomorrow. We will recall that there was a protest early in August from August 1st to about August 10th. But then we know, I mean, the protest was welcomed with so many other reactions where we saw in numbers of states there were hoodlums who took advantage of this protest, breaking properties, breaking things, and then causing chaos. Where we saw that some of the states actually eventually had talking about curfew. Now we are saying there is going to be another protest tomorrow, Richard. And last week we saw where our president, I mean, through his SSG, gave the directive that for this year, 64 years of independence celebration is going to be on a low key. And on Friday, we discussed the fact that if we are saying low key because there will be no so much celebration or necessary expenditure and all of that, that would be great because as it is presently, Nigeria do not have much. But then I see it to be a time of sober reflection, a time where as a country we all have to sit back. Of course it's going to be a public holiday tomorrow, so everybody should be at home except for few special services that are needed that'll be out
Yeah.
there. But then it should be a time where everybody should sit back and as leaders we should look at time memorial. What have we done for the past 64 years in this country? Of course, we're seeing that last week we saw where these organizers of protests had a virtual meeting with police because we know before any protest will hold, you need the permission coming from the police because they are supposed to be there to protect protesters. Because I mean, it is your legal right, so it's nothing illegal to have a protest, except when we see it going in another way that the government do not want. That is when we see a number of people being arrested and all of that. And we will recall we started this conversation. I mean, about 10 that were being released recently, and then there was going to be a bid of 10 million, which is 100 million from all of them. But then here we're having another part two. Permit me to say it because in less than 4 months we're having two protests and on the same matter. Because this is really where I'm quite concerned on the same matter. Of course, we're seeing the government have taken its own initiative to release certain CNG buses to help, Nigerians, especially for students and as well as labor civil servants to be able to get to work. But then, how about other unions? We're talking about organized private sector. We're talking about trade unions. We're talking about a number of other people that are under certain unions in Nigeria that are also affected by the hardship. And we're seeing that tomorrow's one seems to be hashtag fearless October 1st. So you just cannot help but tell, I mean, what is really happening because it seems as if people who have been put in certain positions of authority that are meant to do certain things are not doing. And permit me to say, it seems as if the protest of August, the message was not taken at all because we're seeing that rather than not seeing things getting better, it seems things got worse because we will recall that after the curfew, we saw how prices of goods went very high. That was when we had the issue of the fuel going high as well, scarcity and all of that. So, what is going to be different regarding tomorrow's protests?
Sarah, if we're going to talk about independence concerning the actions or the feelings that come with it, I think the only time Nigerians were ever happy about independence, we can give that to the first 20 years after independence, 2 decades after independence, starting from 1960 to about the 80s or thereabout, because things were still functioning in the country. There was still the influence of white, the Western world, our colonial masters. Even when you look at states that a lot of mining activities took place, like in the plateau and all of that. You could see that the start of civilization was a result of us having foreign miners, the quarters, the buildings. Up to today, they stand. They might be old, dilapidated, but you could see buildings that could stand the test of time because there was quality in it. Fast forward to 64 years, we are having buildings collapsing every single day. Lack of quality. After the first 20 years of civilization, of independence in this country, Sele, I think we have been having an environment of devalued values in a lot of things, in quality of everything, services, goods. Our parents can boast about the kinds of school they went to,
Sure.
where they had Oxford standard of education, even at the primary school, and and jobs were waiting for them after secondary school. Once you just have a secondary school diploma, you had a job. Most of them got to higher institution while working and all of that. We can talk about the standards of food, we can talk about the value of our currency, we can talk about all of that. And that is towards the beginning of oil exploration. We finding oil was even prior, after that, some few years after independence, and then we can talk about the oil boom and all of that. And honestly, these great periods were barely 20 years after, because starting from the 80s, we started seeing our naira devaluing. Well, once upon a time, we had the naira higher than the dollar, and it was in the 80s that we started seeing our naira going low as against the value, and thereabout towards the ending, starting from 84 down to the start of the 90s or there about the beginning, we saw our naira gain to like naira, 2 naira to give you a dollar and all of that. Why am I taking us down this history? Because ever since then, I think every independence came with a mixed reaction. Now, we're probably children when Nigeria turned 40, but I'll never forget some of the phrase that came with us turning 40 when it comes to independence, and that is a fool at 40 is a fool forever, because we were starting to see that people, adults at that time, were starting to see that, you know what, a lot is not really happening in the country. So are we really going to improve as a country? Because I can remember a fool at 40, a fool for Nigeria, we use those tags. We can't even forget 60. You know, the giants of Africa were 60. I can't remember precisely what was the logo or the tag for when we turned 60, but it wasn't good. 50 was a golden jubilee. We were excited and all of that, but still, yet it came with a lot of problems, and we had less to celebrate, Stelle. And up till today, we're turning 64 and we have little victories to celebrate in regard to our advancement, to security, to our economy, to education, to health. What can we truly celebrate at 64? These are the questions we're to ask. If it's insecurity, we have gone down. Once upon a time, as a child, my parents would send me to go to buy anything in the shop at 11, 12. Yes, my twin brother and I said we'll go out at that time, happily jumping on the street and come back. Right now, you can't even send your 15-year-old 7, 8. You are scared because something is wrong. So we can talk about, what about the health sector? Is it the JAPA, or is it the problems in the hospitals of the facility? If we're going to be honest as a country, we're going to sit down. Let it be that perhaps we are blinded by certain things, but can the government come out and tell us what are our wins at 64? What can we truly say was not there and is present now? And when you look at this, I think every Nigerian can take on the street and say, you know what, enough is enough. Now this is bringing us to the protest, because when we sit down as Nigerians, we want to look at the good and see that we are winning. And I am trying every day to see the win as a Nigerian, and it is a difficult one for me. The challenge for me with this protest, Sele, is who are the organizers? It was one of the reasons, Sele, and that was why in the morning I started by mentioning unions that could create an impact, because the government knows that when these people take certain decision, it will truly affect the country. It's the same thing when it comes to a protest. Who are, of course, the first protest, it was almost like anonymous were the people behind the protest. We had few activists talking and speaking, but along the time we started having groups that could be heard back. Or we have the Ariwa group backing down. We had down from the Yoruba saying we are not a part of it. We have from the south, the Igbo saying no, we're not going to be a part of it. And this was one of the reasons that did not make the last protest to have the impact that is supposed. And we're about to face the same this time around, because now we are having one activist at the forefront of this protest, and we're talking about Sowore here. We're going to talk about who have been talking concerning this 1st October protest, and it's almost like just pockets of youth left, right, center. But then we need to unite and speak. If the youth of Nigeria are saying we need to secure our future, who are the youth? Individuals are not enough to create an impact. We need to have an umbrella. We need to have who is speaking and who we are following. That is how to have an impact. That is why NLC can have an impact. That's why ASU can have an impact. That's why NAMT can have an impact. That is why the senior staffs can have an impact, because they have an umbrella voice. They have a group. They have things that they are stating out collectively. In the past administration, Sowore was arrested many times and detained, and we remember at the period where he was trending, where we had certain phrases, Sorosoke, trending at that time, speak up and all of that. But now the era have changed. I mean, if it was even that Buhari's administration, I think he would have been arrested by now. But for some reason, this administration is kind of soft on him, despite him speaking out and challenging the government and all of that. But you see, one person, it's not enough, because we're talking about the whole Nigeria. This person is from the western part of this country. We need people from every part speaking up to say we are one. This is for the entire Nigeria. People can sit down and say, well, he is speaking for a particular people, and it already will reduce the power, the impact, exactly, Sele, concerning where we're going. And this is the challenge for me concerning this protest. And I will still say, do we even need a protest at this time? Because we have an administration that have shown and have proven to us that they have a thick skin. They have developed or created or have advanced to the level where they have a thick skin for protest and all of that. But either way, I think that the government knows that they have failed in so many ways. No, even if we speak it or we don't, they know it, because they are seeing how certain decisions have affected even what they can achieve as a government. Because if 100 million before can construct a 500-kilometer road before, it cannot anymore. So we have a government that will also feel the impact of their economic policies and decision. Will they talk about it? No. Well, they are the government. They're in charge of the fundings and all of that. Why is the masses feeling it? Because, well, the masses are not in charge of the billions of the country. We are here still trying and struggling for minimum wage, and therefore the hardship feels different for us at our own level. But either way, the government is also having a tough time and a blow concerning their policies, and what it is meaning our reserves are not in good shape as they are. We're seeing NNPCL in debt like no tomorrow, and we're not even sure what is the future of Nigeria regarding oil when it comes to NNPCL. We can see every other aspect that the government is affected. But, well, if you've taken a decision, Sele, you have to stick with it. And even if it's biting you, you have to take the pain and move on, because you cannot complain in the end of the day. You are the government.
This is where this is the point where I always see that for every time we feel that politics is not our business, the policy eventually is our business. And I love the way you took us down, looking at from where we realized oil, where Nigeria was coming from, the respect we had before. I mean, initially, if we can take back far back, if Nigeria should actually cough, the entire world tends to stand still and listen to us. But is that the same thing that is happening presently? It seems as if each time we talk right now, we're becoming a joke of ourselves to other people. And that is where, just like you're saying, we haven't just an individual being at the forefront of this protest. where is the impact? Who is going to feel the impact? It's more like you're actually speaking for the people over there. They're
Mm-hmm.
not that saying we don't have anything to do about this. I mean, we're having the people of the south are saying, we already have IPOP. It's enough problem for us already. We want
Yeah.
to concentrate on that. We do not want to have anything. But for how long are we going to continue in this manner? That was why in the morning I raised a concern concerning the fact that, what, do you always have to be reminded of what you need to do as a government?
Mm.
And that is where we have even the former president Olusegun Obasanjo saying the fact that, what, politics is not dirty.
No.
Politicians are the
Yeah,
ones that are
yes.
dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Because politics is meant to actually help towards you being in a position. Then we have governance and then we see things falling in place. But that is not the regard. And I'm scared, just like I said in the morning regarding this October, because I remember what happened in October 2020. Till date, we have not recovered from what happened. We know the number of people who died, we know the number of people that were being detained, and we know the number of people that are missing without anybody saying anything.
Yeah.
Parents till date are looking for their words. They do not have an idea where they are. And so I'm hoping, honestly, that of course we know whether or not there is a protest, it makes no difference. But the difference is, what are our leaders planning to do regarding all of this? Are you ready to put your head out, stick your head out and do something? You mentioned of the insecurity we are facing. I do not know whether it's getting better or worse. Talking about health practitioners living on a daily basis, not just even the health. Japa is touching every sector.
Mhm.
Lecturers are leaving. Every professional is looking for a way to leave the country. In fact, you will be surprised to hear that even your child at primary one will be planning on leaving the country because so he can feel everything that is happening that is not
Sure.
supposed to happen. So we look forward to seeing a better Nigeria in as much as we are celebrating 64. I mean, it's a day of rejoicing for a number of us. I mean, I love it because it's the member month, so it's
Yes.
telling us that things are going to be better. But for how long are we going to continue being in the same spot? Every year we say we are celebrating, and then yet it seems as if we are stunted. We have just gotten to that point where we can no longer go above that. So we look forward to seeing a better step. Now, still in regards to making Nigeria better, we're seeing about 17 governors or so, setting up panels committee regarding the new minimum wage. And I remember initially when it started, just very few, I mean, about five or less were actually saying, okay, yes, we can
Yes.
pay. We had a number of governors coming out to say we cannot pay this minimum wage. We have organized private sector saying they need help from the president regarding that payment. But then we're seeing that the number of governors are saying, you know what, we can actually do one or two things and be able to pay this, and then we're having a committee to pay. And I don't know when this committee will be done with the assignment and when this payment is going to start. But I believe this is a desire of every civil servant out there, everybody that is working out there, to have, I mean, a better pay. Because if you look at what is happening, we saw in the morning the 40,000 naira rice nowhere to be seen. We don't know where what is
Yeah.
happening. I mean, maybe the rice is missing or something, but it's nowhere to be found. And then a number of things that, I mean, we have the CNG buses, so it's supposed to help civil servants. But beyond the minimum wage, we need something better coming from our government. But I mean, kudos to the 17 governors that have set up the panel. We hope that this committee will be able to come up with their template on how this payment will be done as soon as possible.
Sele, you made mention of the rise, and it's kind of funny because the government plays politics a lot of time just to calm the nerves of its citizens, and that is a bad side of it, because when you make a promise that you cannot keep to, it becomes a problem. The more people are seeing the loophole and lacking faith in the government, the more you won't have the support of the people when you need the support the most, because the government is promising what they do not have. The capacity of the rise cannot be felt, the impact cannot be. And we did the maths here, Seller. Even if eventually those 600 bags of rice, 25 kg bags of rice were out there, a few people will know it, and we know that so many people were hijacking. So perhaps the government had given it, but we're talking about a population of 200 million as against 600,000 bags of rice. So yes, we, even if it was given, which we don't know, but even if, let's assume the government was able to
I think
disburse it,
certain governors came out to say that yes,
they
they
receive
have
it,
received
but
the
where
rice.
is it? The impact is little or none at all. And this is where we can say, you know what, we need the government to step up. in everything because our eyes are out, their eyes are open. And this is even concerning the minimum wages. When we bring it down to the state government level, when you say you want to do something, you should try your best to do it. Now, Stella, just as you said this committee, some of them might take a year or two before certain states will start saying this minimum wage because we know that we have very few states in Nigeria that are up to the task of paying whatsoever when it comes to minimum wage. Even if it's 100,000, we know that we have at least five states that can pay
boldly.
exactly pay this minimum wage. But having 17 making a move out is a good number. Now we have 10 states to worry about. Probably these were states that never even implemented minimum wage when it was 30,000 exactly, and now that is 77,000. It's going to be a lot of work for them. But this committee is also with the task of buying time for the government. We saw that when it came to the federal government to decide what's the minimum wage, we saw this committee also, they are in charge of buying time for the government. I think this also will go down to the state level because now these governors not only need to say, you know what, we can pay, but how do we come up with this money at the state level? We know what revenue allocations are, but they can't all go into paying. We have bad roads, we have health issues, we have school issues, we have states that have even suffered from flooding and many more outbreaks of disease and all of that. Fundings, relief, the attention of the government needs to go into there. But what do we do about our revenue? What do we do with, and we also know that the state government also needs to employ more people because there is work that needs to be done. Sometimes why we are having incompetence or the government not functioning to 100% capacity is because they are shorthand when it comes to work at the state level. But we just hope that come 2025, Sele, we will have state governors that will start this payment. And when they do, we hope it doesn't become a backlog where where the states now begins to have on 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Then it becomes a tool for campaign when 2027 arrives, because we've seen governors getting thumbs up and kudos for being able to clear the backlog of outstanding payment and all of that. So I just hope that it will also not be a tool for these governors at the state level. We are keeping our eyes on the watch for these 17 states, and we hope that more will join in. But overall, is a thumbs up for those states that want to pay. I hope Plateau State is part of it. I hope certain states that are not doing well will put in the effort for their workers and all of that. But above all, we will see that Nigeria is growing because growth needs to happen at every other state. I believe that these governors are the same who are also moving forward for the local government autonomy and even state policing, everything that needs to happen at the state level for growth and development. I need to see more states championing those cause for a better Nigeria.
You know, the reason why we're having just 17, I believe, just like you said, the remaining 10, possibly they never thought of it in the first place. But then I believe, just like I always say, it's the fact that if you're willing, you definitely find a way to it. I don't believe there's any state in Nigeria that cannot pay that money except they're not willing to reach it. I mean, it's just for you to look within and see. There's so many ways to create revenue in your state. I mean, it's just for you to think. For example, in Plateau State, you can try to say for every wrap of biscuit you throw on the road, you pay a fine for it. And before you realize it, the government is creating, you know, certain amounts of money. It might not be very, but I mean, little drops of water makes an ocean. So it's just for you to look within and say, okay, how can we come to pay? I mean, how can we raise the funds for that? And then before realizing, you will have the money. So I'm hoping, honestly, I'm hoping that this committee will not take forever. I just hope that by October we should be having that this committee in the next 2 to 3 weeks are done with whatever they need to do, and then they will submit their reports back to the state. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this program.
You're welcome, Sally.
All right, and also thank you to our followers and every other person who made this program a success. We look forward again to doing this tomorrow, so please have a great day ahead.